On this episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup, we got an emergency podcast. That's right, because we got big news. Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos agreed to a new 5-year extension. So we're here to break it down for you. Emergency podcast, a full breakdown tonight for everybody out there. And that all starts right about now. Hello, Broncos country. I am your host, Trevor Salzman, Rocket Man. Tonight joined, I should say, by my wonderful two co-hosts here, usually on Saturday nights with me, Mr. Jody the Judge Moncrief, and also Mr. Patrick Wilsey, Mr. Lion Coffee over there in Hawaii. You might be wondering out there, what the heck? You guys are on Thursday night. Yes, absolutely, because this is an emergency podcast. We do this from time to time whenever breaking news happens. We're starting to do what we've done it for the Broncos for multiple years now. We're doing it now with the NFL news coming up as well, expanding our zone. Everybody knows how the Juice Football Talk Show goes every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. But this is an emergency podcast for Broncos country out there, Broncos fans out there. Got some big news today. Sean Payton has agreed to a new 5-year deal with the Denver Broncos. But before I get into that, let me get to my two wonderful co-hosts, Jody Moncrief. I'll start with you tonight, my friend. How are you doing tonight on a Thursday night? A little bit of a change of scenery, I think, for all of us. But glad you're able to join the show, and glad you're here, my friend.
Doing good. Excited for the news. Excited everything Sean Payton's brought to the team. So looking forward to discuss this.
Absolutely. Looking forward to discuss this more in detail as well. Joining us in detail, Mr. Lion Coffee, Mr. Patrick Wilsey. Patrick Wilsey, how you doing out there, my friend? Thank you again for the great coffee package you sent me the other day. But again, love your insights on the Broncos as well.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad you got it okay. I did throw some different things in there to see what you'd like. But yeah, it should be kind of – I'm looking forward to this. This should be interesting to – I mean, I hear what you guys think a lot, but to actually, be able to throw it out there for everybody else, I think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and to be fair, I kind of threw this idea out there about midday. As soon as we heard about this news, I kind of threw the idea out to the guys, and I'm very, very excited and happy that I have two amazing co-hosts who are able to join me. But we'll get into the chat a little bit. Before we get into our first topic here tonight, we have Vincent coming in here, says, "Yo, fellas, about to school these youngsters on the ball court. Go school them all you want. It is basketball season still. Got the NBA Finals going on." Our other member of RMSN and my co-host of the Juice Football Talk Show. You can catch that again every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick out there says, "Good evening, fellas. Trevor is just running a few hours late. That's why a Thursday night DBR, LOL. Joking aside, have a great show, boys." Yeah, Kenny. Kenny's always giving me crap about being late, but you know what? Hey, better late than never. That's what I say. But boys, getting to this topic today, Sean Payton gets a new 5-year extension with the Denver Broncos. This contract runs through the 2030 season. This contract aligns with what the Broncos just gave George Payton, a new 5-year deal as well. They'll run his contract through the 2030 season. Patrick, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts when you seen the news pop today. I don't think a lot of people were really expecting this right now. I mean, this is kind of the time the Broncos like to sign players to extensions, but and I don't know they just got George Payton on a new deal, but a little surprised that Sean Payton got an extension today, pretty much right after they gave George Payton a contract extension. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, I mean, I think it is a surprise. I mean, I know I definitely wasn't looking. I figured this would be more of an off season. I mean, it's off season, but I mean, like after hopefully, Super Bowl this year, right? And we discussed keeping him or not keeping him, something of that nature. But I mean, it seems to line up with everybody else's leadership role is set fairly well between 2030. So that seems in line with everything. Like they just want to take care of their stuff, take care of their people.
This is a Walton Penner group. I should say more less Penner group anymore. That loves to take care of their own. I mean, they're not afraid to pay players, but they're not also afraid to pay their executives and keep their coaches around. And so I think we've seen that multiple times now throughout Broncos ownership. Since the new ownership group took over. But Jody, your thoughts on Sean Payton's new extension? Again, wasn't necessarily something we've been talking about the last few weeks, but kind of maybe a surprise, maybe it's not to some others. But your thoughts?
I wasn't that surprised. I mean, Sean Payton came here, and I mean, he turned everything around. From if you just go back to Mike Purcell and Russell Wilson getting into it on the sideline with Nate Hackett and that debacle, and what he was able to do, what he's done in 3 years, from 8 wins with a quarterback that he didn't really want, eating all that money, 10 wins with a rookie quarterback. And then you're the number 1 seed last year, and you're probably going to the Super Bowl if your quarterback doesn't get hurt. He's done everything that's been asked of him, changed his culture around. They probably have a top 5 roster now because of him. You probably have the best defensive coordinator in football. You have an up-and-coming offensive coordinator. So everything about this I love. And I don't fall for the notion of just because he signed for 5 years, that means goodbye Davis Webb, goodbye Vance Joseph. Especially Davis Webb, I mean, in 5 years, he's only going to be 36 years old. That's still he could be the coach in waiting still. So I don't think that just means that he wants that those two are gone. So everything about this move I love. Penners take care of their people, and this is just more proof of it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I for me, and this is why I put the word surprise out there, and I say that because with George Payton, he was going to the final year of his contract. I mean, you had to extend him now. I mean, really, you weren't going to let his contract run out towards the end of the season, and then like all your draft preparation and where you're sending your scouts out, that's all down the drain because you have new leadership. So I would say the word kind of surprising, and not like shocking surprising, but a little surprising because Sean Payton still had 2 years left on his deal. And I think that we're now getting to this point where you really, I mean, Sean Payton's really going to have to prove this contract. I mean, the pressure's on with his new deal, but I think the pressure is on with his old deal as well, because this is really your Super Bowl window now. It's a win now kind of mentality. He was able to kind of, put play calling aside now. Hopefully this is for the better of the organization and the offense. Still, I'm going to continue to say it. The 1,000-yard rusher, the lack of having one is really still bothersome to me. The lack of a run game still is a concern for me. I will say I'm on board from a culture standpoint, though. That being said, Sean Payton's done a great job establishing this culture here in Denver. And, again, getting the Broncos out of a difficult time when it comes to stability at head coach, but also bring back Vance Joseph when nobody wanted. He didn't listen to everybody else. He did his own thing. If he would have listened to the critics, people would have said, why are you bringing back Vance Joseph? He was a disaster as a head coach. He's not a great defensive mind, blah, blah, blah. Why are you bringing him back to Denver? People don't like him in Denver and Broncos country. But you know what? He went against that and said, hey, I'm bringing back this guy. I believe in VJ. I'm bringing him back. I'm bringing him in. I'm getting rid of Russell Wilson. Like, I'm getting out of this contract after a year. I'm going after a rookie quarterback. I'm bringing in Bo Nix. He's really had a plan coming into Denver, and this was his job. And he's really taken that by the wayside and has paired that with George Payton and their vision together. That's what the biggest thing comes out for me is you have George Payton and Sean Payton, GM head coach, coming together. This deal shows both their deals, George Payton and Sean Payton's deals, really shows an alignment throughout the organization. Greg Penner believes in that. Sean Payton believes in that. George Payton believes in that. And that is something that a lot of organizations around football can't really say about their GM and head coach being on the same page. I mean, they'll go, quote unquote, say that to the media, but behind the scenes, it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Get it. Jody, if you have anything to say on that, please do.
I was just Kenny kind of went off on something that I had mentioned. Will VJ stick around for the whole 5 years? That I don't know, just because of age. But like I said, Webb, he will only be 36 in 5 years. So I very well could see Webb sticking around. And the thing is, there's no need for him to just rush and go take a bad head coaching job just because. And he's got VJ right there to firsthand to tell him, look, when I took the Denver job, I didn't have carte blanche to make decisions. Decisions were made for me, and you don't want that. So pick and choose, build your resume up. You're going to be 36 years old when he's gone, and you and Bo Nix could have something special here, and you could take the reins right over and do what you need to do. So I don't think there's a rush just to say I need to get a head coaching job.
I will say we'll expand on that in our third topic a little bit more, Kenny. So I will get to your question. Do you want to get to a couple more comments and get to our second topic before we get to our last one of the night? We have Mr. Glenn Ashley, my other co-host on the Juice Football Talk Show, coming in here saying, "Good morning, Trevor, Jody, Patrick, and Juicers Posse, live from the sauna, proudly brought to you by Morgan Trinkets and Lion Coffee." Baking away, doing breath work, and stoked with an extra 3 years. 100% Glenn. Then Miss Pearl coming in here. Speaking of wonderful sponsor, Morgan Trinkets, go check out Miss Pearl, Morgan Trinkets today. Miss Pearl, you're amazing as always. Says hi. She says, Kenny, that's a big question. We'll get to Kenny's question a little bit later on our last topic. Pearl says, I feel they go to the Super Bowl. Both will leave. And again, we'll expand on that. Glenn says this is all about setting the culture and standards top to bottom. BJ will go, but Webb will stay. Happy to get more picks and more dynamic mind and on defense in the future. Yes, and again, I want to say that topic for last because it's a real interesting topic to get into. But I'm going to kind of twist this a little bit, and I said it kind of earlier, and this is our second topic of the night. Was this the right move for the Broncos now? I say that because again, Sean Payton had 2 more years left on his deal. You've not won the Super Bowl yet. Like there's still a lot more to get to. I understand what he's been able to do. We've talked about, like, we can sit here and talk about, what Sean Payton's done from a culture standpoint and, bringing in the right quarterback and kind of getting on the right mindset with George Payton. But I say this, like, okay, you've extended him. It's new, 3 years extension, basically. It's a 5-year total extension. I'm going to say this. Was it the right move? Because, again, he's not in the final year of his contract. Are the Broncos getting ahead of themselves a little bit by giving Sean Payton this extra contract? I know we're talking about the Penners and what they've been able to add from an ownership standpoint. Like they have a ton of money to kind of dish out. But again, this Sean Payton contract extension isn't going to be cheap. So no matter what, if things go bottom out in the next 2 years, you're still left with paying Sean Payton for 3 more years. I mean, unless he goes to TV, but again, he's going to get a majority of that money. So I will say this, like, was it the right move right now, Jody? Was this the right move to do it now? Like, why now? Why do it now? Why not wait till next offseason to pay Sean Payton long term and give him that contract extension when you haven't won? I mean, you haven't even got to the Super Bowl yet. You got to the AFC Championship game, and of course, there's a lot of progress, but you haven't even got to the Super Bowl yet, and you're already giving Sean Payton a new contract extension. Why do it 2 years before you need to?
Because it ties him and George Payton together. They've been working well. I'm not hung up that he hadn't been to the Super Bowl because of where this team was. You don't turn a franchise. Denver was a bottom 3 team when he took over, and what he's done in 3 years is incredible. What he did with Bo Nix, where people were saying, "Oh, you way overdrafted him. You could have got him in the second round. You can't win with that." What he's been able to do, eating that kind of dead cap for 2 years. So everything that he's done, do I agree with all of his play calls in the past or any of that? No, I don't. But he's looked in the mirror and made the decision that he had to give that up, and he's given that up to Davis Webb. Other than that, really every move that he's made, other than I'll criticize 1 or 2 moves, cutting guys or whatever, but you're no better off if you keep Audric Estime over Tyler Bidet or any of that. So everything that he's done, really, I don't fault him for. I mean, we made fun of him for this is the New Orleans Broncos or whatever, the Denver Saints, but all them players that have came in here have made impacts. Little Jordan Humphrey makes impacts. Adam Troutman makes impacts. All these guys from the Saints have made impacts. Look at his coaching. Look what he did. Got rid of longtime Lauren Landau. This is one of the most healthiest teams now. Just everything that he's done, turning everything around. I can't be more happy with, and I don't see how Denver Broncos can't be. Yeah, I understand we haven't been to a Super Bowl yet, but the turnaround in 3 years, and you're right there with a backup quarterback in the AFC title game, is pretty impressive. Now you got to go do it because you're in win now mode, and you've ran this thing back, and all the pieces are there. Bo's in his third year. This is when he should take a massive leap. So it's all right there in front of him. And we'll see what happens going forward. But I have no hate on this move. Plus, Sean Payton had already said he didn't want to coach in a lame duck year. So get that done so that it's not even a problem in the offseason next year and that type of thing, because you're going to have a lot of other things on the plate. You got to focus. You've got Riley Moss. You got Jaquan McMillan. You got Brandon Jones. You've got your quarterback who's going to want paid. You've got a lot of different things. So get this out of the way and get it taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great points there, Jody. I will definitely say that. It definitely don't hurt to get out ahead of a contract like this, but I will say, like, you never know. In the NFL, it's a year-to-year league, and you never know what could change. So, Patrick, I want to ask you the same question. Why now? Why give Sean Payton an extension now? I understand wanting to align, both Paytons together, but you could have waited until next offseason to do so, and I don't think Payton would have been too stressed out about it. Why was it the right move for the Broncos to extend Sean Payton now, Patrick?
I think just basically like Jody was saying, just they get it out of the way. They don't have to. They can concentrate on the other 1,000 things that are going to pop up between now and the contract. And it's not like his money comes out of what we get salary cap wise anyway. So I mean, if they want to pay him for the next 50 years, I mean, it's if that's what they want to do, they can do that. I honestly think it's just to get it out of mind, it's done, it's settled. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, do we need weapons for Bo? Do we need a better defensive line? They can concentrate on what they need to worry about, the business of football, instead of the business of paying their peoples. It's all taken care of.
And I will say one thing. You mentioned this is a year-to-year league. He's got a track record in New Orleans of, there were some down seasons or whatever, 7 and 9s, but overall, he had a track record of they were division champs every year, and they were fighting for Super Bowls every year. So he has that. So it would be different for me if you felt like this might have been a one-off, and his track record shows it's not. I mean, he's the second most of active coaches. He's got the second most wins behind Andy Reid. So he's got a Super Bowl. There's only a handful of them in the league right now with a Super Bowl. So
yeah, I mean, I think culturally, I think there's a lot to be said about extended Payton. Now, I will say that it's going to become to a price if the Broncos continue to succeed and succeed at a high level. And we'll get to that in the last topic of our show tonight. I got to get to a couple comments, though, because everybody's been doing an amazing job blowing up our comments section. Miss Pearl says, hi, Patrick, as well. Ernie May says, go Broncos country out there. Broncos big, not 31 teams. Small. Hello, Trevor, Jody, and special guest Patrick Wilsey. Patrick Wilsey is a part of RMSN now. Ernie, part of Denver Bronco Roundup. We're excited and very lucky to have Patrick on screen with us. Glenn says all the coaching changes and coaching across the board. This is a perfect time to acknowledge what Payton in the background. It ties both contracts together too. Glenn also says the organizations need top level leadership toughness, and Payton is the man. Ownership, GM Payton and Coach Sean Payton are so aligned. We are thriving on and off the field. And then Ernie says, hello, Patrick. And then Glenn says, Super Bowl loading. Peter Johnson, we'll get to this here in a minute, Peter, I promise. Glenn says, hi, Miss Pearl. All right. Last topic of the show, boys. This is why I said for the last. what does this mean for the Broncos long term? This is what kind of getting into the coordinators and what could possibly happen. And I do so. We'll get into some of these questions now. Because this kind of aligns with this topic. If Webb succeeds, he can wait and be the next Ben Johnson, wait for his spot. Jody,
I 100% agree with that right there, because he's going to have his. If this pans out right, he doesn't need to go just jump on a job to jump on it. Like, ask the Arizona Cardinals coach that came from Philly after they won a Super Bowl and how that played out for him. He jumped on the first job and that went horrible down there for him. And now he's out of work currently. So ask Mike McDaniels how that went in Miami. There's some guys when it gets hot, you take advantage of it. He had never been a coordinator and he was already getting head coaching interviews. So he's going to be fine. He can pick where he wants to go. Be smart. Look at leadership. Look who your quarterback is. If you've got a relationship with Bo and it's clicking, there's no need to rush. Like I said, he's going to only be 36 years old when this 5-year deal's up. So that makes him still one of the youngest coaches, so there's no need to rush. VJ's a whole different thing, his age, and he's been there, done that once, and he's already had interviews and been out there. So VJ's a different thing. I didn't expect VJ to stick around this year, so I was surprised there. So in 5 years, probably not. But there's up-and-comers behind VJ and different things. So I'm not worried about Davis Webb especially. I'm not worried about, because I don't see him being the guy just to I need a head coaching job regardless if it's good or bad.
I will say, though, this Sean Payton extension narrows that gap a little bit more when it comes to anybody else taking over the next 5 years. So Davis Webb, there was questions. We've even kind of posed it to ourselves behind the scenes. Like, hey, if Sean Payton wins the Super Bowl, is there a chance that he just retires? He's done. I think that gap is closed now with this 5-year extension. And if the Broncos continue to succeed, this is where I'm getting at. This is the price you have to pay. Van Schussen, Davis Webb, they're more likely to move on. That's the name of the game. The next 5 years, Davis Webb, VJ are not going to be here. I'm more than likely. That's just the reality of the situation. Yes, Davis Webb can be picky and choosy with what, and VJ as well on where they go. But I will say they both want those opportunities. Like Davis Webb, he had more OC jobs out there than he had head coaching jobs, and so but there was a reason why Denver fought so hard to keep him. If he wasn't going to get the opportunity to take over being a play caller, he was going elsewhere. Van Joseph, I think he was a little bit more in on that Cardinals job than people will give him credit for. I think Van Joseph said, you know what, I can wait another year. I will say, Jody, I think you're right on point with where these guys can wait. But when the right opportunity comes, I fully expect Davis Webb, if the offense goes well, VJ has a little bit more of a track record with his defense. So I still think right now it's more likely VJ leaves than Davis Webb. But if this offense explodes and this is a top 5, even a top 10 offense this year, the running game improves drastically, don't be surprised if Davis Webb next offseason is gone. If the right situation happens, of course. But I do want to get to a couple more comments. We got Phil McLaughlin coming in here and says, good evening, Rocket Man, Judge, and Mr. Coffee. Is it Wednesday? He said, I am old and losing time, but I swear I was here last night, LOL. When Payton wins his next Super Bowl, will that cement his Hall of Fame entry? Patrick, I do want to pose this question to you. First and foremost, Phil, if you sent stars, we really appreciate it. I have not been able to check on my phone, but if you did, my friend, thank you very much. And just know we appreciate you even just commenting and joining the show. It is a Thursday, but it's an emergency podcast, the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Patrick, go ahead, my friend. Oh, you're on mute.
That's probably good. I said something I shouldn't. All right. Anyway, no, I definitely think that, he would get Hall of Fame because he'd be one of the second coach to win it with a different team?
Yeah.
He'd be the first head coach to ever do it.
First?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Payton was the second quarterback, right? Or was Payton the first quarterback and then Brady did it second?
Payton was first and then Brady was second.
Okay. So, come on. It was the same team. You've done that with, different coach, different quarterback like that. yeah, I think definitely that puts him in Hall of Fame. But do they have to stop coaching 5 years too? Like the players, do they have to be out of things for 5 years?
Yeah, I
I'll
think so.
Yeah, I think
For
so.
coaches, like, that's like the time frame.
Yeah.
I never paid attention if a coach got in too much or not. I mean, Denver hasn't had that many coaches I thought were Hall of Fame worthy. But I mean, I do think it cements it. I think it writes his ticket, whether everybody else punches it or not. That's kind of, I don't know, depends on how he's rubbed the league, right? But
Yeah, it's and he's not done that very well. He's admitted that himself. Jody,
okay.
I'll pose this question to you. It's just, and I think I know your answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. If Sean Payton's win a Super Bowl in Denver, does it submit his entry in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think he's fringe Hall of
Yeah.
Fame right now as it is. I mean, he's top 10 in wins and he has a ring and stuff. I mean, the Hall of Fame voting is a joke anyways. I mean, Mike Shanahan's not in with 2 rings, so whatever. But if he becomes the first, and it doesn't even matter for me, first head coach to win it, 2 different teams, but if he wins another ring and you're top 10 in wins and you have over a 600 win percentage, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. So yeah.
I do want to get to Peters. It says, and then we kind of touched upon this a little bit. It says, does this mean Davis Webb walks at the end of at season's end? Jody, you kind of talked about it. Right situation. Davis Webb, what would you give the percentage right now? I haven't even seen the offense yet, and I'm putting you on the spot here. What is the percentage that Davis Webb leaves at the end of the season?
5%. I don't think he leaves next year. And you can just go to other guys. Look at Sean McVay. He was called plays for 2 years in Washington before he left. That type of thing. And you got to look around at some of the situations. If the Jets job's open, they don't have a quarterback. There's going to be a lot of places that don't have quarterbacks. So I don't think he wants to get himself in that type of situation. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Vance Joseph didn't go to Arizona. They didn't have a quarterback. This was a bad draft class for a quarterback. They weren't getting Mendoza. So did he want to go down there and go through the same thing that he went through? And Webb is, like I've said, he's young and he can pick and choose where he wants to go. So why not learn from Sean Payton? Because all that other, you can see Denver, like with Sean Payton, has the offense ever hummed like we thought it was going to under Sean Payton? No, not yet. But the culture and getting the right players in and that type of thing, it still allowed you to win football games. And that's one of those things that he can learn from Sean Payton before he just runs off. Because if he leaves, he's going to want to call plays and head coach. And that's, I think, where Sean Payton can say, slow down. There's no need just to hop on it. And we don't know what Davis Webb's getting paid. He may be getting top money where it might be comparable to what a head coaching job gets him anyway. So there's no need to rush it.
Yeah. I mean, no need to rush. And I do say, I do think you made a great point. 2 years, maybe. I think it's more likely that Davis Webb leaves. But I mean, again, we see these teams around the league, they get aggressive when it comes, especially when it comes to offensive mind. I think that's what's really kind of hurt VJ a little bit. He's more of a defensive mind. These teams more or less are going, they love themselves a bright offensive mind, and they're willing to hire that offensive mind, whether he's ready or not, to be the head coach of their organization. We already seen Davis Webb this year get head coaching interviews. He wasn't even the play caller. Imagine this year if the offense turns things around and they're more sound in the run game and they're able to move the football more frequently throughout the season. Imagine what the head coaching interviews he's going to get then. The more of an opportunity he'll probably get. So I will say I think it's like a 40% chance. I would say right now that he leaves Denver at the end of the year, but I do think that those chances continue to rise if this offense continues to improve. And I think if you're Denver, you want that. You want this offense to continue to improve, and you want this offense to continue to make progress. Bo Nix continue to make progress. Because if Davis Webb leaves, I mean, hey, you left on a high note. You win a Super Bowl and your offense is top 5 in the NFL. That's more than you can ask for. And so, like, you can try to hoard these young guys around as much as possible, but there's going to be guys, young coaches waiting in the wings behind Davis Webb that Sean Payton can still have an eye on if he bodes him out to be a good offensive mind and can promote from within. Sean Payton's not his first time promoting bright young offensive mind to OC and him being the play caller. So he's not afraid to do it. I don't think this may not be the last time he does it if Davis Webb continues to progress and he eventually moves on. But Patrick,
let me throw one other thing out too.
Yeah.
Look, Denver's building a brand new training facility there, so that's top notch. You have a stadium that's going to be built in 31, so that's 6 years away. I mean, that's coming. Look what they're doing with the stadium now that they're going to tear down in 5 years. They're doing renovations on it. I mean, they're putting new field in, before games, that type of thing. You have the richest owners in football, so you have all these things here. Why do you want to leave that to go make a little bit extra money when the situation isn't great? When in your mind you could be the guy next in line. Ask Josh McDaniels how that worked out, leaving early and that type of thing. He could have taken over for the Patriots probably. So, so I use that as the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and I just use and his name just escaping me, the coach that left right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He went down to Arizona and
Jonathan Gannon.
And how did that play out for him? Not well down there, and he's currently out of work right now because of it.
Yeah, I mean, he thought he had himself a franchise quarterback in Kyle Murray, and that front office was didn't do him any favors at all, I would say. But I do think you have a great point. And Logan Kilgore, the quarterback's coach, keep in mind, this is another young offensive-minded head coach and Sean Payton's staff that, hey, if Davis Webb moves on, don't be surprised if Logan Kilgore ends up being moved up to OC. But Patrick, your thoughts on maybe Davis Webb being one and done, or do you think he sticks around a couple seasons in Denver?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a couple of years. I'd be like Jody, maybe 5% that he leaves at the end of the year, because I'm not trying to speak anything into existence, but what happens if he's only average? And then what happens if he's incredible? If he's incredible, don't you want to see if that's a pattern? I want to see if that's lucky or not, that he wins or goes or, everybody plays well. And like Jody said, I didn't realize he was that young. I knew he was 30s, but I didn't realize it was like just eking into the 30s. That's a massive, to me, like, card he's got to play, because he is that young. He doesn't have to. He can look for the right situation, like you were saying. He doesn't have to take the first one that pops up. He could look for what fits what he needs.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. Look at, he's only been a coach for 3 years with Denver. 3 years as a quarterback coach. And this will be his 4th year, first time OC. To take that kind of leap, Sean McVay didn't even take that type of leap. So, that's why that's why I think, especially having VJ there, VJ can give him advice on why just jumping to jump is not the greatest idea. And I'm pretty sure that's why VJ hasn't just jumped to jump again.
Yeah. But I will say, you don't want to end up like Eric Bieniemy either and never get a head coaching job. Like, eventually you're just going to have to take a chance on yourself and trust yourself. And again, you want to be in the right situation, right owners, under the right ownership group. But I will say this Sean Payton extension, like I kind of mentioned earlier, like I do think it takes the questions out of, hey, possibly Vance Joseph, being the Broncos head coach again if Sean Payton, suddenly retires or is just done. Like, I think Payton's signing up for the next 5 years because he's here. He's not retiring. He has no interest in retiring. No matter what, if the Broncos win the Super Bowl or not, I don't think he's done. I think he wants to continue. And this just shows, I think, Sean Payton's energy and shows his mind still in football. Like, he's not losing interest one bit in football. He's all in on this Broncos roster. And maybe it just also kind of points to where, like, what Sean Payton thinks of this Broncos roster and what they can continue to build. Like, I don't think he's just signing up for the next 5 years to, like, hey, yeah, we're just gonna kind of win one more Super Bowl and then I'm done. No, you're signing up because you think you can have long sustained success here in Denver with this ownership group, like you mentioned, Jody and Patrick. You guys have mentioned it and have done a great job mentioning that the ownership group and what they've been able to provide Sean Payton. He's even talked about it multiple times with this ownership group continuing to invest, and he's blessed having another ownership group that can, really cares about football, cares about his players and coaches. Sean Payton's just not going to sign up for any ownership group. He's not just going to take, of course, any job. I think it just speaks confidence of what he thinks of this Broncos ownership group and what they can continue to do beyond this season of success, of the sustained success they could possibly have going forward. I do want to get to a couple comments as well here. We are about ready to wrap up the show. Going to keep this show a little bit short as it's an emergency podcast, but you can catch us again on Saturday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, right around there, I would say, and 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast, of course. Glenn says Payton is a Hall of Fame lock now. This will increase the level of legacy for him in Denver. Glenn, I don't think he's a lock right now. I think there's, again, post Drew Brees, what can he do? Can he have sustained success post Drew Brees? I think that's something that still remains to be seen from a question standpoint.
Yeah, I can't say he's a lock only because Mike Shanahan, you would think 2 Super Bowl back-to-back and what he's accomplished, and he can't even sniff it. I mean, Dan Reeves went to 3 and he's not in. So, to be honest, I think the Hall of Fame is really a joke. And I mean, this is bad to say, but Sean Payton passes away today, he probably has a better chance of getting in than if he stays alive. That's the way it feels sometimes. Once you pass away, then they want to throw you in. So
yeah, unfortunately,
I don't know. Of all the Hall of Fames, I think football's got a massive problem when it comes to how they get guys in. And I mean, I just go back to Shanahan. There's no he should be in. He should have been in a long time ago, and why he's not, I'll never understand.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. It's even your average football fan, not even Broncos fan, just average football fan, like Mike Shanahan should be in the Hall of Fame. Like that's just what it is. Any other football fan would tell you that. See, Kenny says all those offensive minds, yet 2 defensive coaches made it to the Super Bowl. Defense wins championships. They do. I mean, then later he mentions Mike McDonald, and then he's had success there in Seattle. Yes, but you're under a great GM there in John Schneider. He's one of the best GMs in football. Like it's a great situation there in Seattle that he ended up going to. So I will say it depends on the situation you go to as well and what you're put in. Like we've mentioned here on the show.
And that's another good thing too. George Payton, he's a younger GM in this league. So when the 5 years is up, he may still, if this team's clicking and rolling, he's probably will still be around, and you can pass the keys right on to Davis Webb and see how it rolls. So, yeah. I'm not worried there at all. So,
and then Kenny says if Jets are sitting pretty for a quarterback next year, Davis Webb could easily be in play. Darren Moogie knows Webb, and Webb knows New York. Yeah, but I will say again, it depends on the ownership group in New York. Like, how much control they give in Darren Moogie to do his thing, and so. I think that's a possible destination. I think there's a destination for Vance Joseph as well if the Broncos succeed. Again, a lot of it's going to be, how the Broncos do this year, what kind of season they have from an offensive standpoint to the defense standpoint, all the way around. Can this team get back to that AFC Championship game again and ultimately win a Super Bowl or even get to the Super Bowl? Time will tell. But I do think that could be a possible destination if Davis Webb would think about possibly leaving. But a lot of it comes down to intel of the ownership group there in New York, and they're not meddling.
Woody, he's considered one of the worst owners in football in the NFL. So,
yeah. Key says, shocked. I thought Payton would sign up for 1 Super Bowl in Denver and done. 5 years tells me there's more than I ever expected. 100% Keith, and that's exactly what it is too. Like. The longevity here in Denver, and I think Sean Payton sees how special that is. This is probably his last shot of not only winning 1 Super Bowl, but multiple Super Bowls, and that's something where I think that's Sean Payton's mindset right now. Like, hey, I can have the next 5 years at the very least to win multiple Super Bowls, not just 1, but multiple, and have a lot of longevity of success and a lot of long-term success here in Denver that we've already had. But hey, we've built ourselves up to this point where we're a Super Bowl contender now. Imagine what we could this whole legacy and what my era can look like in the next 5 years, we could be talking about multiple Super Bowl appearances and maybe championships. So definitely long term, I think what Sean Payton is looking for, and not just one and done in Denver. Glenn says we are genuinely on the edge of a massive period of sustained success. The locker room is happy, humble, and hungry. 100%. I mean, the culture there is huge. Glenn says, are there any DC minds that you like? Are you think are are there any of the defensive? I don't know what Glenn Steve what his question is there. Help me out if anybody can see
If there's any DC minds you like, if VJ should go.
Oh, okay, yeah. Jody, you go first with that. Sorry, Glenn, I couldn't read your question very well. Jody, any thoughts there? Jim Leonard's out the door, so I'm not sure there's any in-house candidate, but
I'd have to think on it for a sec. I really haven't dove into it. Denver has really set this roster up where you're going to want another 3-4 guy, probably. Just with the amount of edge rushers and different things. I mean, that's going to be important. Other than that, I'd have to do a little digging to see what's out there.
Yeah. Patrick, if you have any names to bring up, feel free to.
Yeah, I don't have any names. I've not been the biggest VJ fan when they brought him back for the defense, and he's definitely changed my mind on that. I mean, I think he's done well. I think he's presented the team, let them run with things. This is the play I want, but appears to leave room for not improvisation, but maybe gambles and things that it's just that they can take and as long as they work out, So
yeah, I
don't have anybody on topic right now because I think they need to keep him. I think he's doing well.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I don't think there's anybody on staff now. Jim Leonard would have been that guy if VJ's gone. But again, I was skeptical of them going Jim Leonard anyway, because now you're asking this defense to learn from a defensive mind that's never called plays before, and Jim Leonard and VJ's an experienced veteran. I think Sean Payton values that a lot. So I think you're talking about probably looking outside the box when it comes to looking at a potential defensive coordinator long term. I don't think anybody in house really jumps up to the table right away like it was previously with Jim Leonard. So that's something that we'll have to discuss at a later time if VJ ends up leaving and going elsewhere, which again, wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 years or so if VJ does get a head coaching job elsewhere. Phil says, let's face it, if the Payton, Walton, Penner group are looking to set up a dynasty, young players and being developed and keep 100 stars. Thank you, Phil, very much for the stars, my friend. We really appreciate it here at Denver Bronco Roundup and Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think you're looking at a potential. I don't want to say dynasty, but at least a long-term success. But it starts right now. I will say after this extension, there's going to be pressure though still on Sean Payton to maximize his team at strengths and ultimately win a Super Bowl. You got to win a Super Bowl and bring a Super Bowl back to Denver. And I think that's got to be part of the plan. This new 5-year extension. Hey, I just talked about it. This is a ownership group that's not afraid to pay someone off. We just seen it with Russell Wilson. If Sean Payton and this team it dips off in 2-3 years, they're not afraid to fire him and get rid of him. They won't. Seriously. So like we talk about 5 years, like Sean Payton, there's a guarantee he's going to be around for 5 years. I think there's a long leash for Sean Payton. But don't get me wrong, Broncos ownership is not just going to let this team fall flat on its back and then not do nothing about it. Like if change needs to be made, change is going to be made. And so there's some things Sean Payton, of course, that he can be better at. The culture and everything he set in Denver, though, is definitely there should be a lot of positive speak on that. And he's I think done a great job in Denver. And really that's part one of the Sean Payton era. Part two is getting this team over that finish line and ultimately winning a Super Bowl, bringing, if not one, multiple Super Bowls back to Denver. But they got to have sustained success under this Broncos ownership group because they can pay to get rid of you and hire somebody else too. Yeah. We're going to wrap up the show here pretty soon. Jody, your final thoughts tonight, my friend, as we get out of here. A great show, emergency podcast. I think Jody's going a little bit of incognito mode and maybe a little dark mode as we finish out the show. Looks like. But Jody, your final thoughts tonight as we're about ready to wrap up.
I love the move. I've loved everything Sean Payton culture-wise and player-wise, he's done player-wise for the most part, I haven't agreed with 100%, but you never will. But culture-wise and everything, from the training staff and that type of stuff, I love it. I'm 100% on board with Bo Nix, and I love that he's giving up play calling duty. Let Davis Webb, get these plays in quicker, and I expect this offense to hum this year. So this is a great signing for Denver. It shows that this isn't just till Bo's contract's up and then we're gonna move on. I mean, this is long term, and I expect good things. Denver's in a great position. They may be owner wise, money wise, quarterback, all that type of head coach. They may be top 1 or 2 in the NFL for all of that. Them and the Rams. So I'm excited for what's to come this year and many years down the road.
Absolutely. Patrick, your final thoughts, my friend, as we're about ready to wrap up. And I think the right words to use for Jody's screen is witness protection. He's going to witness protection right now. Patrick, your final thoughts as we wrap up.
He didn't say anything all that controversial. He shouldn't have to hide. I might need to be the one hiding, right?
The Hall of Fame committee, Patrick.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. They're going to reach out and get him, He's not even going to be looking. Yeah. Where they surprise everybody with their nominations.
Right.
But no, I mean, I do. I think honestly it means stability. And I think that's the best thing. It makes everybody, like we'd said earlier, they're not that's not worried. That's not blocking their blinders aren't on. It shows that the owners are looking everywhere, coaches, players, everything that they need to look at, and that they have the mind to keep success flowing so that everybody else has success down the line. So I like it.
Absolutely. Big news on Broncos country. I mean, a lot of long-term stability, possibly for George Payton, Sean Payton. We'll see if there's other contract extensions that come out. Jaquan McMillan's name has been mentioned out there. Riley Moss. We got a lot of different possible free agents that are coming up on new contracts or needing new contracts. We'll see if the Broncos extend those guys. As this is the time of the year where the Broncos love to extend their players and, of course, love to extend their head coaches, their GMs, their executives just around the league. So, but no, it's been a fun show. Jody, Patrick, love doing these emergency podcasts with you guys. You can catch me, Jody Moncrief, Patrick Wilsey on Saturday for another episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup. Usually, again, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, if you like, share, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on, then you'll never miss when we're on. As well, you can catch the Juice Football Talk Show every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, I should say. But for me, Trevor Salzman, Jody Moncrief, Patrick Wilsey, we will see everybody next time on the Denver Bronco Roundup. Hope everybody has a great rest of your night. And as always, go Broncos.